Kicking things off, our story opens in a pretty weird way. But chill, everything's gonna make sense. Right as the mate, some shady people show up screaming about what a guy named Sun Jack would do. Which begs the question, who even is this dude? The real mystery is, where's our main character in all this mess? Stepping up, our boy drops the truth, saying the plan is simple: wipe the floor with everyone. He laughs it off, mocking them, asking if the enemies thought his crew was just some disorganized joke. Mid-opponents to be exact, throwing that in their faces because paying a little attention. You can tell the MC is built different, leaving a warning that anyone who underestimates his squad is gonna regret it. With that, the kid and his army charge straight into battle. Panicking, some guy across the field questions if the MC even cares about his own identity, offering cash and even immortality. After all, what else could this kid be after? Except there's no time to finish chatting, cause our hero lands a clean hit and launches the clown away. In that exact moment, another mysterious voice echoes through the air asking the same thing. What does he really want? Keeping his cool, he fires back saying he wants the sky itself, a burning desire that the heavens never blind his vision again. But it looks like this grand master plan fails miserably, guys. And that's where it gets crazy. Out of nowhere, the MC gets tossed and knocked out cold on top of some weird statue. Breathe easy, cause the screen fades to black and he wakes up safe and sound. Looking around, he notices he's in his own bedroom. Everything points to the current date being the year 2025. While checking the calendar, his mom barges in dropping a lecture, complaining all he does is game and sleep. Coming to his defense, the dad chimes in telling her to let the kid chill, dropping the news that breakfast is ready. And just like that, everything changed. Our MC's brain short-circuits seeing his parents right in front of him. This scene makes zero sense, feeling way more like a distant memory. A memory that should have been locked away in the past forever. Shocked to his core, he starts panicking over the whole thing. Trying to hold on to that illusion at all costs, the scenery starts falling apart. Suddenly, his vision clears up and he's trapped inside a giant metal pod that looks like a freaky fridge. He's still trying to process this whole wild trip. Slipping right out of his hand, the phone smacks the floor hard. Luckily, it didn't completely break, just gave him a massive jump scare. But taking a look at the screen, the kid freezes, realizing the calendar says the year 2030. Completely lost, he opens the camera and starts recording a video saying he's stuck with zero way out. Those dark hallways feel like an endless maze, and no matter how much he walks, he's getting nowhere. Making things worse, his last clear memory is from 2025, right after that exam. After that, it's just a blackout, which doesn't add up with the device showing 5 years into the future. How did he just lose 5 whole years of his life? To top it all off, the phone's battery dies right in the middle of his rants. Good thing a massive rumble echoes through the place right after. Up above, he finally spots an escape route. Obviously, the kid didn't waste any time. Scaling the walls, he reaches a creepy room full of robotic arms and scrap metal. The catch is, right in the middle of that chaos, there was a giant flashing red button. This immediately grabs his attention, looking a lot like some digital touch panel. Driven by impulsive curiosity, Eek decides to press the thing. One single tap was all it took for the whole floor to start shaking violently. Freaking out, our MC quickly realizes he messed up big time. Yeah, the gravity just shuts off and he starts floating, clueless if it's some tech or if the whole place is plummeting. But along with the shaking, a giant hatch opens up. Peeking out the other side, the kid gets hit with pure panic. He notices he's floating out in actual space. Check this out, things can always get worse. And it looks like our boy woke up with the worst luck ever. The entire base is free-falling straight toward the planet. Sweating bullets, the MC knows he needs a backup plan ASAP so he doesn't go splat. In the middle of the mess, his eyes lock onto a weird machine. More specifically, a bunch of deactivated robots. Jeek decides to try the classic repair method and gives the tin can about 3 good smacks. And to his surprise, the hunk of junk actually turns on. That rusty bucket spits out an ad claiming to be the Tap-Eye robot, the perfect helper, promising to clean the house and even teach the kids. On top of that, it guarantees to go to work for the owner and tank the boss's yelling. Finishing up, the ad tells you to call the number on the screen to buy one. He obviously doesn't give a rip about this sales pitch and just wants to save his own skin. However, the metal sidekick is full of protocols and demands a name before moving forward. Losing his mind, the survivor snaps at the machine, screaming that they're falling and need to focus on escaping. In a rush, messing with the settings turns out to be an actual nightmare full of useless options. Sunjack goes straight for the guard mode to see if it fixes anything. Right after picking it, the AI announces it's happy to serve. Spotting a level 1 threat, the system triggers the alarm and starts recording everything, asking for backup. The worst part is that everything glitches out, failing the satellite signal and only finding one shady network nearby. Hearing this, the buddy asks for admin access to connect, promising to boost survival chances by 32%. That whole calculation ends up taking forever. Yelling non-stop, the MC tells it to speed things up. By pure luck, his hands are glued to his robotic partner, which is locked into the floor. That'd be great if there wasn't a massive piece of scrap flying straight at them. Freezing completely at the sight of danger, he knows there's no way to dodge. With 0 options left, a heavy impact becomes unavoidable. No one saw that coming. The machine throws itself in front, acting as the perfect shield. Shock takes over the kid, since up until now the helper was just a headache. Flexing hard, the system replies all cocky that the threat has been wiped out. Right after that, the thing just complains about the goofy name its owner gave it. Our MC is left completely clueless, with this chunk of metal talking trash out of nowhere. Eek cuts the joke and demands escape routes, but the AI says the odds of disintegration are low. Taking a deep breath, the boy tries to squeeze out the location of a safe spot to soften the drop. The tin can gives him a flat no, explaining it never worked in that area and doesn't know the map. Instantly, the kid questions the point of that hacked network. Explaining the glitch, it says it only caught a random internet signal without direct access to the station. That doesn't sell our hero, who demands a forced hack into the spaceship's data. As an answer, the tech pretty much gives him some major metallic attitude. Or so it seemed, but it was actually just plugging in a cable to breach the panel, hooking straight into the base's main terminal. The helper swipes every bit of data possible. During the download, a creepy crack freezes our hero. Cracks in the glass warn that the roof is about to cave in, and they need to hustle. Going crazy, the AI starts smashing the panel, telling the files to load faster. 3 seconds later, the worst-case scenario gets real with the window blowing out. But the air pressure is brutal and pulls our MC out into the endless void. Out of oxygen, his vision fades to black as the freezing space swallows the boy. Unable to hold on a single second longer, our MC just gives up and lets go. Except the tin can wasn't slacking, warning he found a map and plotted a route straight to Sector 4. Flashing a relieved smile, he celebrates the good news. He tells his partner to hang tight, even joking that the human body is way too squishy for this kind of impact. Soon enough, the duo spots Area 4 from a distance, sprinting for their lives through the collapsing hallways. The machine, already jacked into the network, keeps slicing and hacking through the locked doors. At that moment, the kid dives straight into a tank full of some super sketchy liquid. Honestly, it looked like sheer madness, but the stuff promised to cushion the heavy drop. Out of options, he knew the crash was going to be brutal either way. Smashing into the ground, the pod finally takes the hit. Everything goes dead silent until we spot the MC walking out of the smoke in one piece. Dizzy and confused, he drags himself out of that goo, doubting he even made it. Suddenly, raindrops start falling from the sky, hitting the kid right in the feels. That alone proved the escape worked, and he was finally free on the planet's surface. Yek drops to his knees, completely shocked by his own luck. He was dead positive he wasn't making it out of that mess breathing. Laughing out loud, he even sticks his tongue out to catch a taste of the water. Except he spits it out instantly, getting hit with a heavy metallic taste. That nasty flavor immediately reminds him of his new robotic partner. Digging through the wreckage, he starts searching every corner for his sidekick. Sadly, he only stumbles across a ripped-off metal head tossed on the ground. This completely bums the kid out, seeing as the little gadget had just saved his skin. Out of nowhere, a familiar voice calls out, proving the little guy was in one piece and that scrap belonged to another model. Sunjack celebrates with pure relief, while the robot announces it managed to download the local map. And just like that, everything changed. The machine warns him that the current year is 2721. Trying to process this, the kid's brain completely short-circuits, realizing he time-skipped 700 years into the future. Everything pointed to that 5-year blackout being tied to this massive time jump. Suddenly, the AI interrupts, pitching a theory to explain this whole mess. Based on the math, the MC was likely frozen in cryogenic sleep back in his own era. Years later, humanity mastered nuclear fusion, and the top tech blew up in 2310. Apparently, the bot himself was built in 2456, but ended up getting shut down. According to the network logs, that exact same year the robots went rogue to wipe humanity off the map. 200 years of brutal warfare wrecked the planet, taking out 85% of the population. Making this apocalyptic nightmare even worse, the moon got destroyed and the ecosystem was left in shambles. This wild battle only wrapped up when humans took the win, resetting the calendar through pure grit. Exactly 720 years after 2021, the survivor wakes up on this ruined Earth. Yake hits the panic button and begs the tin can to dig up his name in those old files, shutting down that hope. The helper points out the old internet is gone, leaving zero data from before the war. Modern records were completely rewritten by the survivors, so no one really knows what's legit anymore. No one can dodge a reality check like that. His entire family and old life are just gone. Deep down, he decides to use this fresh start to figure out what happened during his 5 lost years and uncover his past. Calming down a bit, the kid officially introduces himself to his mechanical partner as Son Jack. To keep things simple, he suggests calling the little guy by his actual brand name, Tapai. The bot gladly accepts, seeing as that previous insult was way too foul to keep on record. Chuckling, our MC defends himself, explaining that the whole thing was just pure panic while mashing buttons. But then something shifts. Tapai just freezes mid-conversation and triggers high alert. Without hesitating, the AI warns him that the duo has a massive target painted on their backs. That crazy loud crash grabbed the attention of some dangerous scavengers rushing straight to their spot. Freezing on the spot, our hero knows he's pretty much sitting ducks against these post-apocalyptic crazies. The tin can points out the situation is even grimmer than it looks. In his new world, the mercenaries pulling up for a raid are far from your average dudes. He's dead serious since these guys are pretty much unhinged scavengers. Just to paint a picture, one of them even strung an enemy up on their vehicle's windshield. Plus, the whole crew acts like ruthless gangsters, flexing their power with zero shame. Take one of their shooters, for example. The dude jumps out of the transport already holding down the trigger, and would you believe it, he completely totals the rival ship in seconds. Laying super low, Jeek and his robotic partner stay hidden right in the middle of the chaos. This whole thing catches the MC completely off guard, watching these psychos open fire without a single word. To top it off, the weapons from this new era are ridiculously OP. 2 or 3 shots are more than enough to take down anyone out there. But here's the kicker, cause the bullets aren't just flying out from the mercenaries. Our boy somehow snagged a rifle called Little Red Riding Hood and decided to start blasting. Laughing it off, he thinks it's pathetic, dropping entire squads while just being a rookie shooter. The harsh truth though is that there are 2 heavily armed groups on the field. Poking his head out means becoming public enemy number 1 in a heartbeat. Not to mention the gap in firepower is way too massive. His only play is making both sides wipe each other out, which is exactly why Tapai vanished, leaving the big question of what the actual strategy even was. The plan is pretty much sprinting like a maniac and firing shots to draw aggro. Fearlessly, Tapai charges forward, going all out, blasting and screaming insults at the enemies. Rewinding a bit, the MC talked the machine into playing bait specifically because he's armored. At first, the helper wasn't having any of it and cursed him out while refusing the job. Still, he ended up caving since they were fresh out of options. The kid gets super hyped watching the pure chaos unfold in the camp. And that's where it gets crazy. An agonizing pain shatters the hype out of nowhere. Someone drives a fatal strike straight through the survivor's back. Rattled by the pain, the kid glances back with zero clue what just happened. In a flash, the silhouette of a massive metal arm appears out of thin air. A hulking cyborg rocking active camo just dropped his disguise right on the spot. Turns out it's the enemy boss, trash-talking that he just stepped on some gross bug. Shrugging off the wound, our hero raises his rifle to strike back. Yet the big dude dodges the bullets like it's a walk in the park. Without giving him a chance, the beast lunges forward and slices the MC's weapon into tiny pieces. That move nearly cost the kid his life in the process. By some miracle, he falls back and dodges at the very last split second. The boss freezes up, completely lost on how his target dodged that hit. He quickly spots the tin can speeding in while holding down the machine gun trigger. Being a seasoned veteran, the brute tanks it without taking a single scratch. Worse still, he triggers that cursed camel again to vanish entirely. The machine doesn't even push its luck and bails, since fighting in the dark is a quick way to lose. During the getaway, the system detects hemorrhagic shock, prompting the kid to ask if he's actually kicking the bucket. Quickly, his partner promises the wound is sealed, but demands an emergency blood donation. Laying right in front of them, one of the downed soldiers seemed to have a matching blood type. With 0 choices left, that random guy was officially the new volunteer. The bot preps its built-in medical gear to drain the vital fluids. Instantly, just as he goes to stick the needle in, the dude snaps his eyes open. No one saw that coming. The little robot knocks the guy out cold with a single hit. Out like a light, the mercenary finally goes to sleep, making the whole process way easier. Shortly after, he wakes up screaming in panic. Looks like that blood transfusion actually worked. Walking next to the survivor, Tabai warns they aren't fully safe, needing a doc to clean the wound from that acid rain. At that moment, our boy tells the machine to stop after spotting a cybernetic arm just laying on the ground. He quickly asks if there's any way to install that thing on himself. Top-Eye warns that using second-hand parts is risky and could trigger a mental breakdown. Ignoring that, the MC focuses on surviving right now and leaving the side effects for later. A few hours of makeshift surgery fly right by. Soon enough, our hero shows off his brand new arm, which even comes with a built-in blade. In that exact second, the part's original owner wakes up out of nowhere praising the long-lasting battery and the implant's shock. The guy is hallucinating so much he actually asks them to use his creator code for a purchase discount, drawing its weapon. The tin can gets ready to finish the job, but Jack tells it to hold up and listen to the dude. Immediately, the cyborg offers 30 virtual coins as payment if they save him. Top-Eye explains that all that cash is enough to buy a basic flying supercar. This catches the hero's attention, seeing the upside at the reward after already stealing the weirdo's gear. So, he asks the AI to check if they can fix the body laying right there. Scanning the damage, the helper reveals a shot went through his heart, and the backup pump is out of power. The masked dude gets furious, complaining he'd had scammed on the black market. Later on, with the repairs done, the kid asks if he can stand up but gets told to wait a second. Believe it or not, the Mercenary is a streamer and starts telling chat he escaped the Grim Reaper. That leaves the boy baffled, thinking it's wild the guy is live streaming in the middle of all this chaos. Changing the subject, he asks if anyone knows a bald guy who goes invisible and has a cross on his chest. Through the chat, the viewers reveal the target is named Chloe, a gang leader rocking military camo. The weirdest part is that a profile with that exact name pops up on stream, dropping a donation. Catching on instantly, he realizes the donator is the actual shooter from the ambush. And that's where it gets crazy. The big boss shows up in real life firing a missile right at them. Running for cover, the massive explosion swallows the whole SWAT. But the MC tanks the hit and stays on his feet. The bald scumbag finally shows his face, laughing about watching the video and calling our protagonist a fool. He mocks him nonstop, asking who the kid thought he was. Without thinking twice, Sun Jack pulls his rifle and unloads the weapon on the villain. Furthermore, he claps back, saying only a dummy would watch a screen during a fight. Except the enemy couldn't care less, and says he enjoys watching mature videos online made brawl. Triggering his heavy camo again, the leader simply vanishes from sight. Yeet gets tense, clueless about which corner the next strike would come from. Instantly, an alarm goes off in his survival instincts. By a hair, he throws his body to the side and dodges the fatal slash. For the second attack, though, the new metal prosthetic works perfectly to block the damage. Praising the kid's reflexes, the bad guy jokes around, asking what his old job was. However, a hail of bullets cutting through the air interrupts the trash talk. It was Top-Eye and that streamer dude laying down heavy fire in the crossfire. The skull guy yells that nobody is touching his new buddy, forcing this hilarious fake friendship out of nowhere. This just pulls more laughs from the big guy, who turns on his invisibility and fades out again. Needing a way out, the hero demands to know if the bot can counter that vanishing skill. The tin can confirms it has thermal vision, but needs a direct threat to trigger the feature. He gets furious about the lack of a heads up, but receives a snappy reply saying he never asked earlier. With the coordinates on screen, the kid fires exactly where the target was hiding. Surprisingly, the shots actually work and catch the coward off guard. Using the gunfire as a distraction, the allied duo starts flanking the guy from behind. He, not being a dummy, catches the movement and notices the trap closing in. Directly in the action, Sompus winds up a massive kick right at the villain's head. Except it was actually just a trick, and the one pulling up with the machine gun is the little bot. The masked dude only served as a distraction for the real strike. Even completely wrecked, the bad guy mocks them, saying that wouldn't stop him. No one saw that coming. The weirdo ejects an EMP device right out of his own body. That freaky weapon is meant to fry any electronic gear in its range. Instantly, the MC drops to his knees on the ground, while the brute brags about using military tech. But while the big guy was laughing and calling an early victory, a blade pierces right through his chest out of nowhere. Nobody expected that. The hero didn't take any damage from the attack and was just faking it. Trying to process this nightmare, the villain grumbles that any normal person would have their circuits fried right there. Yeg simply doesn't have those cybernetic parts, which is why he tanked the hit just fine. Since he comes from the past, his biological structure is 100% human and completely chip-free. Quickly, the kid rushes in, going all out, guided by mysterious voices in his head telling him to hit harder. That brutal beatdown keeps going until the enemy's vision fades out for good. Yet soon enough, the kid snaps back to reality and notices his own extreme violence. The boy himself starts feeling weirded out by his own aggressive behavior. Wiping out opponents felt way too easy, like he had done it thousands of times before. Dizzy and off balance, the survivor complains that the painkillers wore off. Top Eye rushes to explain that the issue is the human body reaching its absolute limit of exhaustion. In the background, the masked partner starts recording again and tells chat the signal dropped because of the brawl. The dude's habit of pretending everything is fine makes the tin can super annoyed. Ignoring the danger to advertise his own implant on stream, the mercenary ends up getting yelled at by the bot. With all the drama going on, he shuts off the stream, pouting over the scolding. Suddenly, a massive rumble tears through the skies. A blindingly bright light flashes the squad right after. He completely freezes up with zero clue about what kind of threat that was. Up in the sky, it was a colossal corporate ship from Galfang Tech, armed to the teeth and claiming ownership over the wreckage. 2 seconds later, a drone pops up warning everyone they have 1 minute to bounce or get wiped out. On the spot, the surrounding scavengers panic and run away as fast as possible. The kid, completely lost in the middle of that mess, stays paralyzed. Catching him slipping, the Skull ally tells our hero to run and save his own skin. For a change, the safest escape route was heading toward the city alleys, but pushing his legs to the limit doesn't give much of a practical result. Our MC is physically drained and covered in open wounds. Those bleeding injuries were taking a massive toll on his stamina. Making things worse, the ship's ruthless countdown hits just 2 seconds before firing. Without time to react, the timer hits 0 and the lethal punishment begins. The sky machine guns start blasting the crowd with no mercy, triggering some Defense Law 315. And to top off the disaster, one of the drones locks its aim straight onto the boy. Soon enough, the kid realizes combat is unavoidable. Pulling the trigger with zero hesitation, he fires heavy rounds right back at the machines. Some smaller targets actually drop, but the number of enemies in the air just wouldn't stop growing. Besides that, the crossfire from the artillery towers wiped away any hope. Top Eye analyzes the scene and confirms the chance of making it out alive is dead set at 0%. However, luck always keeps one last trick up its sleeve. The streamer Mercenary steps up, holds up a virtual card, and yells that he's gonna pay for their pardon. That move raises some serious red flags for the crew, since a bribe felt like pure delusion under that hail of bullets. Flexing his confidence, the cyborg promises that premium cash can delay the hunt for a bit. He puffs his chest with the ultimate ruthless hero pose, even knowing their salvation comes down to a simple bank transfer. Right away, the machine tells them to fall back, and the big guy rushes the crew since he only bought 3 minutes of peace. Sun Jack's jaw drops, unable to believe that saving their skins just took a simple bank transfer. That doesn't sit right with him, asking why the other shooters didn't try the same trick. Firing back, he explains the gang was broke, stressing that the main focus now was moving. Deep down, the MC stays furious during the walk, wondering if broke people just don't deserve to survive in this new world. The cyborg answers flat out that things here work exactly with that kind of cruelty. And that's where it gets crazy. Reality hits the kid hard, proving the laws of this era take 0 prisoners. After walking a long stretch, those injuries finally take their toll. The metropolis actually shows up on the horizon, but the survivor's legs lock up, completely out of gas. Booting the stream back up, the masked dude announces he's calling a premium rescue, already begging chat for donations to cover the spent coins. Exhausted, the MC questions why they didn't just call the ship right from the jump. And the answer is simple. The medical corp would never dive into an active war zone for free. Once inside the ride, the surgeon bot starts patching up all the damage on our boy. A few hours later, the kid finally wakes up, completely refreshed and ready for round 2. Our hero is mind blown by the crazy speed and quality of the treatment that got him back to 100%. Flashing a smirk, Sung asks if that healing package wasn't super cracked. That hustler made sure to buy the most VIP service available for the squad. At that point, our hero appreciates the backup, but wants to know the next move. That question pulls a laugh from the cyborg, confirming they're heading straight to the big city. Pressing a button right there on the dashboard, holographic screens pop up all around while the bed shifts its angle. With a serious tone, the buddy explains it would be pure madness to cross the nuclear zone on foot. Sitting up now, the kid manages to get a clear view of everything. Turns out the ship's roof opened up, and noticing the kid's shock, his partner promises major loyalty from now on for getting saved on the battlefield. He even guarantees a massive welcome party the second they touch down in the city. Staring at the virtual ads, the newcomer spots a freaky commercial for a heavy-duty firearm made just for kids. Another screen pitches a next-gen bionic stomach, perfect for swallowing even radioactive trash. Yeek finds that culture way too wild, completely different from the era he used to know. So he calls his metal partner to check if the giant city is safe for them to wander around unregistered. Cooling things down, Top-Eye explains that the chaos and the 30 million residents create the ultimate hiding spot. Plus, that heavy shootout wiped away any trace of them at the station, clearing out the risks. Minutes later, the transport touches down smoothly. Instantly, the trio steps out right into the middle of the hustle and bustle. The new ally throws his arms wide, welcoming them to the massive neon jungle. To celebrate in style, they head straight to a super flashy nightclub. Walking in, he throws his feet on the table, acting like the ultimate boss, loudly demanding VIP service. The guy orders the finest drinks to honor his savior bro. That quickly draws over a crew covered in glowing implants serving up exotic cocktails. One of the workers, flexing neon lights all over her mechanical body, walks up looking super stylish. Jack just freezes on the spot with so much tech flashing right in his face. Smiling friendly, the girl promises to deliver the best welcome of the night. She even pulls up a glowing panel on her arm, showing off the club's interactive holographic options. Backing away out of pure nerves, he makes the girl wonder if the customer just isn't into cyber mods. Completely lost on the subject, the kid can't even put a sentence together. Back in his old era, seeing someone with lights built into their body was pure sci-fi, and the worker mentions the menu has tons of new stuff. Floating virtual panels leave the MC's head spinning from both awe and panic. The mercenary finds his reaction hilarious, reminding him this city is the true paradise of freedom. Pointing over to the main bar, the waitress reveals the other high-tech attractions. Right in the middle, the newcomer could freely pick whatever service he hyped the most. But since nobody knows his taste, the waitress shows off a wacky catalog with every option possible. Sompus thinks it's peak and gets into the party mood in a heartbeat. Getting dizzy from the neon show, the kid shuts his eyes, complaining about the bright lights. Unable to take another minute, he bails straight out of that crazy club. Our boy actually feels like throwing up from how nauseous he is. Soon enough, the mercenary walks out laughing at his face, calling the newcomer weak right alongside the machine. He still tries to complain about the weird trip, but the skull guy defends himself, saying he paid good money for the experience. And this is where it gets good. His partner just whips out his phone and snaps a pic out of nowhere. Keek doesn't get the reason for the photo at first, until he looks up. Some lunatic thought he had wings and just plummeted off the top of the building. At that moment, the MC starts doubting the mental sanity of anyone living in this city. Turning his face to the scammer, the survivor immediately demands those 30 promised coins. That clown admits to being completely broke, claiming the stolen cyber arm already cleared his debt. Top-Eye disagrees right away and draws a weapon to force the payment. However, the mercenary drops his philosophy of blowing all his cash today because saving money is pointless. The way out our hero finds is pitching a trade, free rent, and a complete neural system on the debtors tab. Without a second thought, the ally accepts, just begging them not to bring the cops around. That seals the deal for good, since real partners always hook each other up. After walking for a solid minute, the trio arrives at a massive residential district. Jack looks around and finds the neighborhood's vibe super sketchy. Some weird folks keep wandering the streets looking like absolute wrecks. So the masked dude clarifies they're just harmless junkies who fried their own brains and scare off easily. Scanning his own eye on the building's lock, he tells the kid to chill out. The heavy security system makes sure none of those creeps ever break into the place. With a soft beep, the giant door slides open for them. Our crew finally steps into the luxurious hideout. Songpuss does the honors and tells everyone to make themselves at home. Showing off the pad, the temp owner asks if they dig the space. A quick button press makes the main window slide to the side. But the truth is the actual owner kicked the bucket, and they're just crashing there until a new buyer shows up. Now the hustler says his goodbyes, promising to install the MC's mental implant the next day. He plans on heading back to the club and partying until the very last penny he spent. Left completely alone, the little machine asks if it should track the scammer's moves. Eek shoots down the idea, just asking his helper to guard the door overnight to prevent break-ins. Laying back on the roomy couch, our boy mentally thanks his partner for saving his life. Plus, the current situation is still rough, seeing as the whole city feels unhinged and he's just a sitting duck. His biggest wish right now is for all of this to just be a passing nightmare. Instantly, he shakes his head and accepts he needs to adapt fast if he wants to stay breathing. Calling over the tin can charging in the corner, the owner drops an important request. Top-Eye gets the order to download a general rundown of the factions and local security. In the blink of an eye, the little bot announces it's processing the download. The intel quickly pops up projected onto a floating screen. Everything there is run by massive corporations without any actual government in power. On top of that, the report breaks down the crucial details about the neural implants of that world. A system like that links up to any prosthetic and takes custom chips to completely wipe out pain. Our MC figures out the whole thing works exactly like a smartphone jammed inside the human brain. Except the helper drops a serious warning about the danger of catching viruses and getting hacked. He doesn't really care, trusting that nobody from this era would know how to breach a mind from 1,000 years ago. The brutal truth is that living without that system here was impossible, locking him out of anything basic in the city. For the rest of the night, the survivor lays there wondering if he should risk that surgery the very next day. The kid couldn't even shut his eyes thinking about it. Suddenly, the masked dude pops up all hyped, telling him to get up for the trip, making the survivor ask if the guy ever rests. Laughing at his face, the ally points out the sleep is outdated and asks if the rookie still hasn't removed that biological need. He gets mind blown by the news and on the elevator ride down starts praying there's a neural system that doesn't require cracking his head open. Down on the ground floor, the squad bumps into a very familiar face. Turns out the club worker was walking around there at the exact same time. Tapai quickly drops a joke calling the girl a cutie, leaving Jeek annoyed at the machine's habit of giving everyone nicknames. So the mercenary tries making small talk about them being neighbors, but just gets completely ignored. That whole scene makes our hero feel kinda bad, since she looks way too young to be living such a hardcore lifestyle. Completely exhausted, the girl just wanted to drag herself straight to her apartment and rest. Muttering under her breath, she complains about her awful luck bumping into 3 weirdos right after her shift. Outside the building, the whole metropolis was getting hammered by a brutal storm. A flying car was slicing through the acid rain, completely ignoring all traffic laws. Flooring the gas pedal, Sonkbus was acting like a getaway driver without caring about the danger. Without finding it funny at all, the passenger suffered in the back seat with the blasted music and sketchy maneuvers. He finally loses his patience and complains if they've been driving around aimlessly for 2 hours, and the driver just checks the rearview mirror asking what's the reason for all the stress. Messing with the kid, he suggests the desperation was just missing their neighbor, making the boy deny it instantly while dying of embarrassment. Geek defends himself quickly, arguing that the girl just got off work and only wanted to sleep in peace. Cutting the chat short, the partner cheerfully announces they just arrived at the main statue street. And that's where it gets crazy. The hero freezes while looking at the giant monument in the middle of the square. That triggers a creepy feeling in his mind, proving he had already seen this exact image in his forgotten past. Taking a closer look, he notices the exposed structure stands strong against the acid storm, with 0 signs of crumbling. But the driver ruins the tourist vibe, warning that time is short, and hits the gas again. The jolt is so violent, it throws our protagonist straight back into his seat. Luckily, the chaotic ride had finally come to an end. Stepping out of the ride, the kid tries to figure out if that sketchy building was actually a trusted cyber clinic. It looked exactly like a highly questionable adult toy shop, and the boy's gut feeling was dead on about that underground business. Catching a glimpse of the shelves, he almost falls back seeing those weird products right out in the open. The inventory featured goods completely out of context for the mind of a guy from centuries ago. Among the junk being sold, there were some super freaky and deadly items that he figured were better left unquestioned. Even inactive cyborgs with exotic shapes were part of that wild inventory. Spotting a guy at the counter, the rookie customer whispers asking if the dude behind the glass was some kind of monk. With 0 respect, the skull guy walks up giving the vendor's bald head a few pats to get his attention. The shop owner unplugs some thick cables from his own neck and greets his old buddy. Instantly, the mercenary introduces this King Kong guy, a cyber modification master who works miracles on parts. Laughing hard, the monk jokes he already counted the ally as dead on the battlefield and thanks the universe he's still breathing. The good vibes drop fast when the customer throws in his face that he almost kicked the bucket exactly because of an item bought there. He makes it super clear that the backup heart pump died and almost caused a tragedy mid-shootout. This is where it gets good. The masked dude draws his piece, offering to open a new hole in the scammer's forehead. Shaking in his boots, the modder throws his hands up in panic and begs them to talk it out like old friends. That was exactly what the hustler wanted to hear, demanding a top-tier implant completely free of charge as an apology. With no way to dodge the lethal threat, the seller takes the loss on the spot, leaving Jeek's jaw on the floor at the genius extortion. Guiding the duo through the back of the main shop, a secret passage reveals a massive area completely hidden from the regular public. Down there was the real VIP market reserved for mercenaries and dangerous big shots of the city. King Kong breathes a sigh of relief and tells the kid to feel free to pick his luxury little gift. Noticing right away, he sees that the underground basement held heavy weaponry and way superior body mods. The cyber surgeon quickly pushes a super expensive model, packed with a real-time translator, interactive ammo radar, and even an advanced tactical visor. But the skull guy points the gun right in his face and demands the elite parts, asking for the priciest camo and pain-blocking gear. Interrupting the tense vibe, Jeek asks if there's any way to install the neural system outside the body, without cracking a head open. That leaves both of them completely confused, questioning if the kid's internal chip had glitched out. Quickly, the survivor rolls with the lie, using the excuse that that the part broke and got stuck inside. He argues it'd be a huge risk to fix it, since brain issues are fatal, and an external version would be way easier to remove. Kong offers to do a quick surgery and rip the broken device right out. Rejecting the offer on the spot, he asks them not to touch it, fearing it might trigger some dangerous short circuit. The mercenary smells a lie because of the story told the night before, but the hero plays it cool by changing the subject. In the end, the seller takes the challenge and promises to grab an external model he used to sell back in the day. Minutes later, the bald dude returns, handing over a stylish pair of glasses that already came with the built-in neural system. Everything looks perfect to the MC, who loves the new gear and even notices a massive glow-up in his own vision. Songpoos then questions how his partner is feeling with the new tech. Our boy admits he feels great, but is completely lost on how to control the features on that thing. Explaining how it works, the surgeon warns that some bodily functions won't run, but the tracking blockers work perfectly by reading the user's mind. With a simple focused thought, the protagonist sees the tech interface pop up right in front of him. The virtual screen displayed super detailed data on everyone around, like names and jobs. Right then, the crew warns him to be extra careful, since a loose item on his face is an easy target for thieves. Chuckling at the situation, he fires back, saying he'd get robbed in that metropolis either way. That pulls laughs from the allies, who confirm the brutal habit of ripping chips out of people's heads to resell. Freaked out, the kid tries to understand if people actually recycle stolen parts from other people's brains. But the chat gets cut short when a friend request pops up floating in his vision. Sun was the one sending it, wanting to keep in touch since the kid popped off in battle and could be useful later. The masked dude says his goodbyes and dips right after. He barely turns his back, and the tin can tries to start a conversation with its owner. Ignoring the partner, he stays completely silent. No one saw that coming. A brand new friend notification pops up, flashing in black and red colors. Sweating bullets, the survivor goes into shock, trying to guess who else could have figured out his identity. The robot also runs a check through the cameras and warns it has zero clue who the threat is. Still tense, Jiek is unable to link that creepy request to anyone he knows. To make things worse, the profile name was just some super weird random insult. Except the mystery ends fast when he finds out it was just Taipai's own account. Tapai points out his owner is way too paranoid, while the kid defends himself, saying it's pure caution after the chaos they caused. Trying to check if they made the news, the rookie opens the city's info portal. The system just blocks the screen, demanding a balance he doesn't have. Completely speechless, he stares at the error message. He gets furious, having to pay money just to read the basic daily news. At that exact moment, the AI tells its owner to get used to it, reminding him that capitalism runs that world. Yelling at the machine, the kid demands his partner hack some bank accounts but gets a flat no because of the updated programming language. Outraged, he tells the helper to learn the new codes, only to hear back that they lack the cash even to upgrade the system's memory. The boy goes back to walking, complaining he didn't want to live broke, while his buddy agrees that getting a job is their only way out. Soon enough, they reach a super dark staircase, and the AI announces their destination is right there. Looking at the interface, a job ad pops up offering a tiny salary of 0.15 coins for 56 hours a week. That pocket change ironically hypes the MC up in his search for food, but the tin can crosses its arms and refuses to go in. Inside the interview room, the vibe is totally corporate and packed with suits. Checking out the preppy crowd, the newcomer notices the city also has regular citizens trying to dodge the criminal life. An executive in high heels with a sharp glare steps to the front of the room. She raises her voice, asking who in line was the candidate with code AA. The short-haired girl steps up quickly and claims the identity. Without wasting time, the recruiter asks a wild question about the girl being willing to remove her own womb for the company. Nobody expected that, but the girl coldly confirms she already had the organ taken out when she turned 18, so it would never get in the way of work. Sunjack is absolutely floored by this madness of needing to rip out an organ like that just to get hired. Keeping her cool, the recruiter praises the extreme dedication and mentions the shift there lasts 8 hours. Except the final demand is super sketchy, requiring the girl to work in a level 6 neural state of stimulation non-stop. That catches her off guard, since in reality it meant relying on hardcore chemical stims to handle the job. With 0 patience left, the boss brushes it off, saying they're safe supplements, and threatens to pass the job to the next in line, pointing straight at our boy. The girl is completely in shock when the interviewer asks her to take some sketchy substances. Firing right back, the interviewer claims they're just non-addictive supplements, warning her that plenty of others are waiting in line if she passes. Our boy thinks to himself if they're kidding with these brutal conditions. Out of nowhere, another dude runs up yelling that he's down to take the supplements, bragging about his level 2 mods that let him skip sleep entirely. Desperate for the gig, he even offers to work 5 extra hours for free. Turning to a different applicant, the interviewer interviewer asks how much she's willing to sacrifice for the company compared to those two, and she just drops a bomb, asking if the girl would give up a vital organ for the corporation. Right after that, they look at our MC, who starts saying he's on board. Smashing his water glass, he blows up, shouting that he's not removing a single thing and asking if they're blind since he's a dude. Pure shock hits the room as everyone just stares in disbelief. Quickly apologizing, the interviewer says she's going to rephrase the question for him. She follows up by asking if he'd be willing to have a limb permanently removed for the company. Without missing a beat, our boy snaps back that he's going to chop hers off instead, charging straight at the whole staff, landing a massive kick on one of the interviewers. He wrecks the whole place. Outside in the middle of the city, his partner counts how many companies they've tried and suggests calling it a day. Bruised up, our MC complains that he doesn't get why normal desk jobs are more unhinged than illegal gigs. He wonders what kind of sick boss asks people to give up organs or borrow cash just to work, claiming not even the devil could handle a setup like that. Cutting to a rainy building, a giant neon sign flashes to number 69. Our boy and his sidekick just stand in front of the spot staring at the entrance. Suddenly, right as he thinks back to the applicants from earlier, probably remembering that desperate girl. Finding the exact same girl sitting out in the rain, his partner tells him to just ignore her. But she just stays there, looking down and completely soaked. Walking closer, our MC asks her to look up. Inside his head, he admits he doesn't even have the energy to worry about someone else. Still, he taps her shoulder and calls out to her. Startled by the sudden touch, the applicant jumps. With tears in her eyes, she actually recognizes our boy. Checking if she's alright, our MC tells her to pull herself together, confirming it's definitely the girl from before. The girl says she's fine, except, stuttering, she explains they rejected her for missing a specific physical requirement, making her unqualified for the nightlife gig. She breaks down crying about still being jobless. For a second, our boy stays completely quiet, processing how wild this whole thing is. Placing a hand on her shoulder, he tells her not to lose hope and just keep trying. He guarantees she's bound to find something way better. Thanking him, the applicant says he's a good person and already seemed built different from the rest earlier. All of a sudden, she remembers they're hiring guys right now and hypes our MC up to give it a shot. No way in hell is our boy ever working there. Saying her goodbyes, the applicant mentions having more interviews and waves as she walks away. Right then, his partner asks if he's actually considering it, but our MC yells at him to get lost. Fast forward a bit, they arrive at the building where he's crashing. Opening the empty fridge, our prota complains he's starving and hasn't eaten since waking up. The system throws an insufficient funds error at the faucet, making him complain that being broke means zero water. Out of nowhere, a holographic ad pops up, offering zero-interest loans and taking body parts as collateral. Staring at it, he seems to drift into a memory from the past. In the flashback, a woman calls him over for dumplings, saying the New Year's special is about to start. Snapping back to reality, the ad shifts its tone, asking if he wants to learn about the human body lab. He wishes this whole mess was just a dream, but his phone suddenly starts ringing. The caller ID shows it's from some dude named Song6PUS. Caught off guard, he answers it, having no clue what's coming. On the other end, Song6PUS is hyped up, screaming that it's been a while and he finally snagged a gig. Sarcastic as always, our boy asks if the job is paying back what he owes, but the masked guy mentions a high-paying slot since he heard he was looking. Chiming in, his partner tells him to drop the tough guy act, since they're starving, warning him he's gonna bite the dust alone at home otherwise. Song6PUS ignores the insult, explaining the payout is at least 5 coins if they pull it off. And this is where it gets good. Our MC and his buddy are stunned, repeating 5. Doing the math, our boy figures if 15 cents makes people work to death for a week, this mission is gonna be rough. The masked dude warns him that someone's coming and hangs up, promising to text the address. Right before cutting the call, he drops that it's a team raid this time, even featuring a pretty girl on the squad. Panicking, our prota yells into the phone that he never agreed to join. Shortly after, a text pops up with a location, pointing to a hot dog joint. Eyes wide, he's totally thrown off seeing it's an actual restaurant. Telling his partner to move, he claims they're just going for the food, while the robot sidekick whines about not finishing his charge. The scene cuts to a dark, rainy street packed with trash and graffiti. They finally pull up to this massive hot dog-shaped diner, glowing with bright neon lights. Doubting the place, our MC asks if people actually eat there, but his partner says they might as well check it out since they made the trip. Upon entering, he notices the spot is actually pretty packed. Suddenly, the masked guy from the call shouts over, grabbing their attention. Waving from a booth, the dude motions them over. Our boy is visibly shocked when he realizes who it is. Glancing at their table, he immediately spots that there's zero food around. The masked guy calls him over for introductions, but our MC is just internally crying about being hungry. Sitting right there on the couch is a purple-haired girl. Masked dude introduces her as CI, calling her the field medic and mission engineer. Complimenting her name, our prota introduces himself as Son Jack. Sai responds that she needs to correct a little detail first. Giving his bionic arm a light tap, she makes her move. He just stands there completely confused, not getting it at all. Leaning right into his space, she catches him totally off guard. She invades his space, grabbing his face to warn him that CI isn't actually her name. Whispering right by his ear, she reveals that modifying tech is her weird obsession. Our proto repeats the word and panics, questioning what this hostile vibe means. Right then, his ocular system triggers an automatic scan. Checking the display, he freaks out internally, wondering why everyone's quirks in this world are so bizarre. Sai refuses to let go of his arm. Fearing for his life, our boy imagines getting completely dismantled for spare parts. Desperate to escape, he shoves his partner at her and stutters that it's the robot's turn to introduce himself, quickly turning to the bot. Saye calls him a tin can. Looking him up and down, she points out all those prosthetics must have cost a fortune. Terrified, the robotic sidekick begs for mercy, claiming his system isn't compatible with her skills. Getting closer, she asks how he can be so sure without testing it, hinting they might actually make a great match. Our MC bluntly explains that the robot is actually a woman. At this rate, he worries he won't be able to keep the broadcast running if things stay this chaotic. Finding out the robot's gender, CI just heads back to the couch. With a disappointed look, she complains he should have mentioned that earlier. Sitting back down, the masked dude asks where the last member is, but CI tells him to stop rushing things. Moments later, Song 6PUS shouts again, calling out to a bro walking up. Standing right behind our MC is this massive, intimidating dude rocking shades and a cross necklace. Our boy breaks into a cold sweat just feeling this guy's aura. Locking onto the man's neck, he spots the ink and blurts out, "A cross tattoo." And just like that, everything changed. Our MC panics, wondering how the Satan gang tracked them down here. Calming him down, Song 6PUS says there's no need to freak out and introduces the big guy as the priest. He explains the big guy is already out of the Satan boys, pointing out the tattoo even has a crown of thorns under the cross to prove it. Still suspicious, our boy just grumbles and tells his partner to chill. With everyone finally seated, the meeting kicks off. Son 6PUS warns them that to avoid any information leaks, they'll be chatting online. Getting serious, CI preps herself to hear the details. The priest focuses up too, waiting for the mission drop. Aware that this crew means serious business, our MC knows the job won't be easy, while his sidekick complains they didn't come all this way for food. Through the mental link, the masked dude asks if everyone can hear him. Surprised, our boy comments how wild it is that they can hear each other without speaking. Then, the masked dude explains the mission is to infiltrate a rock star's house and dig up dirt on him and his bandmates. Lighting a cigarette, CI mocks the whole thing, calling paparazzi work pathetic. Our prota gets worried, asking why they need such an OP squad just to investigate a celebrity. For context, Som 6PUS replies it's because the target is an annual VIP client of Gaothang Security Services. Freaking out, our boy yells, asking if they're kidding, since sending 5 people on this mission is a death wish. The robot partner questions if they can even take down that thing floating in the sky, while our prota is just traumatized by the situation. Relax, the masked dude says, adding that the guy doesn't have the cash to afford a Leviathan V5. He explains the target's mansion has 4 floors, and every single floor is guarded by a security bot. The squad's goal is in basement level 2, room 3, and the window to strike is tomorrow morning when the guy's band heads to a party. Delegating the task to the priest, he assigns him as the hacker support to kill the cameras and jam the alarms. The mission is to break in, reach basement 2, plug a drive into the offline server, wait 2 minutes, and dip. Full of confidence, Song 6PUS asks if it doesn't sound simple. Our boy gets offended, questioning how breaching Gaothang's security could ever be considered simple. Taunting him, the masked dude claims he knows what he's capable of, and asks if he'd rather be a corporate lapdog. Inside his head, an image of his old boss flashes, asking if he's willing to make any sacrifice for the company. Thinking it over, he concludes he has no choice and that he's the real clown in this story. So he announces he's in, but warns that the mission is way too risky. CI just questions it, completely unbothered by the difficulty. Standing up, our prota demands more cash. The The masked guy asks the proto where he even got that idea. Then, our boy reminds him about the 30 coins he still owes. Pulling him close, the masked dude whispers they'll talk money in private, offering 7.4 as his limit. Our MC demands 10, but the guy fires back that 8 is already pushing it. With no hesitation, our boy insists on 10, though the masked guy only goes up to 9, claiming he'd rather bite the dust than pay more. Scoffing, our proto takes the deal, while Song 6 PUS breathes a sigh of relief. With everything settled, the masked dude flags down the waiter and orders 5 beers. Eventually, the whole squad raises their mugs and toasts to the mission. Cutting to later, it's a rainy, deserted city street. Inside his apartment, our boy sits on the couch, lost in thought. He realizes that to survive this gig, he needs to invest in himself, treating it like a zero-interest loan. Because of that, he can't cheap out on his gear. To scrape together some cash, he decides to mortgage his liver first. Instantly, his digital wallet receives 3 coins. Having the funds ready, he starts gearing up for the mission. A drone suddenly hovers right outside his window. Stopping by the glass, the drone announces his order is delivered. He double-checks all the gear, ammo, and weapons, getting ready for the next step. Next up is eating some nutrient paste out of a little pig sheep package. Smiling, our proto squeezes the tube straight into his mouth, but a second later his eyes widen in pure disgust from the taste. In a hilarious moment, he throws it all up because it's just that awful. Outraged, he yells that the slop is something not even pigs would eat. His robotic partner scolds him for not reading the instructions, making our boy even madder. Giving up on the paste, he decides to order real food and, despite the cost, grabs 5 bowls of beef noodle soup. The robot sidekick calls him extra for blowing all 3 coins at once, advising him to adapt to this world fast. However, our boy couldn't care less and says he's eating anyway. Eating angrily, he questions why he should even adapt to such a messed up world. The scene cuts to them waiting at a street rendezvous point at night in the rain, and his partner asks where the rest of the crew is. He wonders to himself if they showed up way too early. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, making him cringe at the awkward nickname they used. At that exact moment, a black car pulls up directly in front of them. CI is at the wheel chewing gum and tells them to hop in. Hopping into the ride, our proto looks around. The priest is riding shotgun, gripping a massive gun. Giving a silent nod, the big guy acknowledges them. Completely confused, our boy tries to process the setup. He asks where Song 6 PUS is, and if he's actually gonna ditch them. Through the car's speakers, the masked dude replies, telling everyone to chill and explaining he's online the whole time. Calling him a coward, the priest says he didn't do anything since he just paid to gather the intel. The masked guy brushes it off, announcing he already sent the target's info, breaking down the available firepower. Next, he assigns the first task, saying Tapai, Sunjack, and CI will handle the bots. He adds that there are also 2 AAB-type beasts, reminding the priest he already fought that model back in the military. Interrupting the briefing, CI announces they've arrived. The ride glides right past the security barrier. CI steps out of the car and looks around, genuinely impressed. With a cigarette in her mouth, she comments that this is where the rich folks live. Our boy is blown away by the warmth and birds chirping, wondering if they're using an artificial sun. Spotting 2 cute white dogs, he watches them play on the grass. The whole squad stops in front of a massive, modern white mansion. Disgusted, our proto reflects on how absurd the gap between rich and poor really is. Out of nowhere, a cyborg butler pops up smiling, asking if they have an appointment. Dropping into a fighting stance, our boy questions it, saying they were told nobody was home. His robot partner just turns his back and tells him to relax. The sidekick steps up and knocks out the butler, explaining it was just a local AI. Right next to the bot's body, a hologram of the priest pops up. He warns that he's already handled the intranet and soundproofing, but Galfing's tech is just too cracked. Wrapping up, he admits he can't hack the security bots and the squad will have to deal with them manually. And that's where it gets crazy. Multiple security bots bust through the mansion doors, blaring an alert to expel intruders. Our proto is heavily caught off guard by their speed. Planting his feet firmly on the ground, his robot partner gears up to strike. The sidekick uses his own body as a shield to tank the bullets for our boy. From behind the cover, our MC injects something into his partner's arm. Eyes locked in, he preps for the counterattack. The shot focuses on the proto's partner, taking a heavy hit straight to the chest. Noticing the enemy slowing down, our proto fires back, while a voice orders to drop one of them fast before they team up. But the bullets just bounce off the bot's armor, making the shooter realize their guns are practically useless against it. Someone complains that it's easier said than done, and right then, a metal gauntlet starts charging up energy. Flashing his charged glove, our boy yells at the bot to hold still, whining that he's only got 1 shot. Then, he grips the machine and keeps lecturing it, asking if they have the budget for this. And right then, a laser beam blasts the target dead on, and no one saw that coming. The blast triggers a massive explosion, completely wiping the security bot off the map. Meanwhile, 2 other bots rush in, and a voice yells for Top Eye to stay put, but it was too late since they were way too close. One of the guards takes a hit and starts melting, while someone says there's no time to waste. Blasted by an energy shot, the guard completely dissolves, and the one who fired was our MC with his gauntlet. Our boy is just in shock, super confused about how the enemy got vaporized like that. Scolding him right after, CI asks why he's just spacing out and tells him to move. Right after that, the whole squad, including the priest, the girl, and Tapai, sprints away from the blast zone. Ducking behind a metal structure, they look for cover and assess the situation. Suddenly, a voice screams to watch out, warning that it's an AAB and telling our boy to get out of the way. Glancing back, our MC and Tapai are absolutely stunned by what's charging at them full speed. And that's where it gets crazy. A massive robotic beast crashes right onto Tapai, crushing him with a heavy strike. Flung into a wall that cracks on impact, the big guy takes massive damage as someone screams his name in panic. Our boy is caught off guard, watching the scene with pure terror written all over his face. Stomping firmly on the ground, the robotic monster flashes its sharp metal claws. With a look of disgust, CI glares at the enemy and asks our prota if that's some kind of 4-legged robot dog. He corrects her, pointing out it's not a dog, but something way more agile, like a cheetah. Popping up on a hologram, the priest explains that it's a military combat model. The robotic beast then slowly advances toward our boy and Sihai, boxing them in. Sensing the danger, our prota glances sideways, realizing the enemy is about to strike. Out of nowhere, the creature leaps right at him, fully ready to pounce. Panic sets in as he realizes the thing is way too fast and his body won't react in time. Worried about his partner, he screams CI's name, warning her things are looking bad. But the girl is quicker, jumping right in front of him to block the beast's attack. Right then, she unleashes several tiny drones that hover around her, locked and loaded. Firing energy beams, the drones blast the robotic creature midair. The shots link up to form an electric net that completely wraps around the monster, locking it down. Spotting an opening, the priest yells and opens fire with his heavy weapon. A massive energy blast hits the beast dead on, triggering a huge blue explosion. Smoldering and heavily damaged, the creature somehow manages to stay on its feet. CI is completely stunned that even after taking that heavy hit, the thing can still move. Our boy then realizes the beast had its eyes on him from the very start. However, he notices that the second monster, the untouched one, never even flinched. It finally clicks for him. He understands the beast was terrified of the launcher in his hand. Flashing a cocky smile, he calls bluff and charges up his gauntlet. He pulls the trigger, but the beast dodges with insane speed, leaving our prota completely thrown off. Missing its counterattack, the creature crashes onto the ground while our boy throws himself back to dodge. Through the comms, the priest warns that this AAB is heavily modded, making our MC sweat. He keeps going, explaining that standard models aren't black, got their machine guns stripped, and rock armor way tougher than military grade. Chiming in, CI adds that they installed something totally different underneath. Annoyed, she comments that someone went all out on the custom build and deploys her drones again. While the drones blast the beast, our prota says none of that matters. Clenching his fist in anger, he yells that all that matters is how they're gonna break this thing. Suddenly, a metal gate bursts wide open. Stepping out from inside is the priest, looking way more intimidating than before. Eyes locked in, he gears up for a serious brawl. He stomps with so much force that the ground actually cracks. Charging forward, he intercepts the robotic cheetah using his own body as a shield. Blown away by his teammates' raw power, our boy claims the only difference between him and a tank is 2 extra legs. Watching closely, he sees the priest actually holding the monster back with his bare arms. Pissed off, he calls the machine trash and rushes in with a blade extending from his arm. Yelling at the top of his lungs, he asks if the beast thinks this is turn-based combat. But Tapai jumps in front and scolds him for slacking, catching our prota completely off guard. Instantly, the beast shifts its focus right onto the robotic partner. In a flash, the creature grabs Tapai, making our boy scream his name in panic. Launching himself into the air, our MC gets ready to slice with his blade. His fist clenches tight, sparking up with heavy electricity. With an expression of pure rage, he locks onto the enemy. Screaming, "Die-e!" he meets the beast's glowing eyes while it's still holding Tapai. Without any hesitation, our boy drives his arm blade straight into the creature's head. The hit connects perfectly, ripping the monster's head clean off and freeing Tapai in the process. Complaining immediately, the robot partner says our prota almost sliced him right along with the beast. and no one saw that coming. Before he can even finish, the beast's tail whips our boy with a brutal strike. He screams out in surprise and pain from the sudden heavy impact. Coughing from the heavy blow on the floor, a voice questions him, asking why he went straight for the head. The hacker points out it's not a real animal and that he should aim for the energy core, but our prota tells him to shut up if he's not fighting. Clutching his chest, he realizes flesh and bone are no match for a solid chunk of metal. He figures some ribs are broken, praying his heart isn't pierced while pulling out some kind of healing injector. Sending over the AAB's data, the hacker warns he still doesn't know what mods the two bots are rocking. A holographic interface pops up, showing the exact location of the creature's energy core. Locking on, his bionic eye focuses and targets the exact weak spot shown by the intel. The crosshairs confirm the lock, directly over the energy core and AAB-1's chest. Letting out a battle cry, he sprints right at the enemy. While the headless beast is still wrestling with Tapayour, our boy flanks it from the side. Slashing wildly, the mechanical monster uses its tail like a brutal whip, but our boy slides underneath to dodge and lands a massive punch right on Tapai's chest. Tapai then mentions that since they're already there, our boy cuts him off, telling him not to run off as he preps his gauntlet again. Meanwhile, the priest uses the second monster as a stepping stone to launch himself forward, screaming at the top of their lungs. They charge up their most cracked attacks. The prota's gauntlet completely blows up the headless beast's core with a red energy beam, and the priest clobbers the other monster with an electric punch, frying its circuits and completely destroying it. Sent flying by the explosion, the enemy's body gets launched across the room. After the fight wraps up, our boy slumps onto the floor, exhausted and out of breath. He complains that making money is way harder than eating garbage, while Tapai asks if he's doing okay. Helping him up, CI gets an answer that he'll live, though his eardrums are probably blown out. She injects him with some green liquid to patch him right up. Following up, CI roasts him for firing the launcher at point-blank range, asking if he wasn't scared of blowing himself up. Our prota snaps back that if he didn't shoot, he'd be dead, adding that if he had cash, he wouldn't be selling organs just to eat. Feeling a bit better, he checks in on Tapai's damage. The robotic sidekick just stays completely silent for a second. Getting worried, our MC asks if his system actually broke down. A bright red exclamation mark flashes across the partner's visor. This is where it gets good. Out of nowhere, Tapai turns around and aims a gun right at him, leaving both our boy and CI stunned. Panicking, our boy asks what got into Tapai and wants to know where the priest went. Through the comms, the hacker replies that the priest went to breach the offline server, reminding our prota not to forget their actual mission. He asks about Tapai again, wondering if the bot short-circuited from taking a bad hit. Without warning, Tapai pulls the trigger, throwing our boy into pure panic. The bullet strikes someone, making our MC scream in absolute horror. Dropping to the floor, CI takes the hit and our boy yells her name in total shock. He immediately grabs the robot and screams, demanding to know if he lost his mind and what he's trying to pull. Staying silent, Tapai just snatches our prota up and drags him away from the spot. Running forward, the bot dodges just as something drops exactly where it was standing. The dust settles and our boy locks his eyes onto something, muttering, "Is that?" Down on the floor are the priest's legs, prompting the hacker to scream his name. Pissed off, our prota turns around and calls out the masked hacker, asking why he claimed the guy only had a silver tier security pass. Right then, a whole pack of those robotic creatures shows up, leaving our boy frozen and wondering what the heck they are and why there are so many. Song 6 starts panicking, admitting it's his first time managing a gig, while Tapai's arm begins to glow. Grabbing our MC, Tapai tosses him over his shoulder, and the hacker actually thanks his lucky stars he didn't tag along, saying he would have been terrified. Left all alone, the robotic sidekick faces down 3 of those mechanical beasts closing in. He explains his strat, planning to overcharge his arm for max torque to yeet our boy to safety, telling him to aim for the SUV and bail. Worried sick, our prota asks what's gonna happen to him. Tapai reveals that once our boy is airborne, he's gonna trigger his self-destruct sequence just to stall the beasts. Hearing this sacrificial plan, our boy just gives a bitter smile, completely out of words. With the syringe injected, our prota declares that if they're gonna bite the dust, they're doing it together. Staring at the incoming horde of robotic beasts, our boy begs them not to make him drive under any circumstances. He flashes a smirk and confesses he actually failed his driving test 4 times last summer. As the creatures leap right at them, our MC adds that he just came up with a massive brain play. Stepping up to the front, Tapai mentions he picked up a trick from Song 6 PUS, and even if it's a gamble, he's going all out with it. Suddenly, our Prota throws his hand up and yells for the creatures to hold on, shouting that he's got cash. The monsters actually freeze mid-air following the halt command perfectly. Flashing a confident smile, our MC explains his account has enough funds to buy their lives, leaving his robotic buddy stunned. Those mechanical creatures land and sit down like good boys, making our boy mutter that the plan worked while calling them two-faced scumbags. Right after a holographic interface pops up, stating the call is being transferred to a human agent. A customer service voice introduces itself and asks for his name, while a VIP client status flashes on screen. Recognizing the voice instantly as the interviewer from earlier, he figures he might be able to sweet-talk him a bit. Except the interviewer just screams, telling him to get lost and accusing him of being flat broke. With the plan falling apart, the beasts gear up for another strike. Seeing his end approaching, our Prota wonders if they're actually doomed this time. Out of nowhere, his vision starts glitching out as voices echo, calling him Boss and Jack. An older man's image flickers through the static, calling out for Jack. Right after that, a girl holding a guitar also calls him by the same name. And finally, a white-haired woman screams Jack with everything she's got. In the middle of this system failure, the biggest monster grabs Tapai, crushing him in a brutal bear hug. Our boy's eye goes wide as a sudden memory completely hijacks his mind. Seeing the image of that white-haired woman hugging him, he whispers a no, trying to push the vision away. And just like that, everything changed. Snapping out of the memory with a burst of rage, he screams the name Hilda. Tapai, still getting crushed by the beast, is super confused by his partner's reaction. The massive bot just keeps squeezing his buddy with zero mercy. In a split second, our Prota gets a massive power spike and dashes straight at the creature holding his friend. Eyes completely locked in, he charges into the brawl without holding back. Using one of the smaller beasts as a springboard, he jumps in with his weapon drawn. The larger monster swings its claw, but our boy dodges and leaps right at it. Zooming in on the beast's back shows off every single intricate mechanical detail. Our Prota then lands a clean hit on one of the bots, sparking a massive flash. The impact is so heavy that the creature just bursts into 1,000 pieces. Right after, he vaults over another beast, using its body as a stepping stone. Mid-air, he drops down on one of the enemies, plunging his electric blade into it with full force. Having wrecked another one, his face shows nothing but pure determination. He stands tall in the middle of the battlefield while the remaining bots circle him. The pack leader announces that the attack analysis is done and tactical optimization has begun. Hiding nearby, CI watches the whole thing with a smirk, commenting that he's actually pretty cracked. Beside her, a hologram of the priest pops up, praising Brother Sun's OP skills. Meanwhile, a newly freed Tapai just stands there in silence, looking heavily damaged. Our Prota stares down the remaining enemies, eyes locked and fully prepped for the next wave. At that moment, one of the mechanical monsters stomps its paw, signaling that the tactical optimization is complete. Almost instantly, shadow claws shoot out from every direction toward our boy in a coordinated strike. Tapai screams in panic, warning Jack to watch out as our Prota's eyes go wide. But it's way too late, and one of the beasts bites down hard on our MC's arm. Spinning around, our boy gears up to launch a counterattack. Even while injured, he's not backing down and glares at the creature with pure rage. No hesitation, he strikes back with a flawless hit, driving his blade straight through the beast's head. Right then, an interface pops up in his eye, scanning and locking onto the creature's energy line. Using that intel, our Prota spins his body and slices the bot cleanly in half with one move. He keeps the combo going, slamming into another beast with a brutal impact. Surrounded by blue energy, he keeps brawling, giving the enemies zero breathing room. His face shows cold determination, fully locked in on wiping every single one of them out. Crouching low, our boy preps his next move as the leftover monsters group back up. Tapai catches this, aiming his weapon and yelling for everyone to stop slacking and help Sunjack. Annoyed, CI snaps back that she doesn't need him barking orders at her while her drones boot up. Back in the fight, our MC throws himself right into the enemy mob and now backed by the drones and his buddy. He rocks one of the monsters with a heavy punch, sending it flying. Right after, Tapai starts spraying his machine gun, laying down cover fire for him. Having scrapped a few more, our boy pauses for a split second to catch his breath. A red light blinks on his hand, signaling he's only got 2 shots left. Taking advantage of the opening, one of the beasts lunges right at him. Our Prota fires a full-power energy beam, completely vaporizing the beast. Now, he and Tapai stand back to back, facing down the very last enemies. Gripping his injured arm, our boy gears up to finish off the final one. The last mechanical creature charges in with everything it's got. Meanwhile, our Prota hunches over, focusing pure energy straight into his arm. His arm then transforms, getting covered in spikes and heavy electricity. From a distance, Tapai unloads his clip, screaming for the thing to just drop already. But the beast tanks the shots like nothing and keeps pushing forward relentlessly. Pouncing hard, the monster goes all out on the robotic sidekick. Rocking a stunned face, Tapai freezes up, just waiting for the final blow. And that's where it gets crazy. Our boy flashes in front of him to block the hit, making his partner gasp Jack in shock. Biting down hard, the monster rips our prota's robotic arm clean off. Grabbed by the beast, the robotic buddy yells that he's taking the creature down with him. Our prota then launches himself into the fray, ready to settle this for good. Holding Tapai by the head, the monster suddenly hears a command to stop, leaving his friend completely clueless. At that exact moment, they both realize our boy has popped up right between them. A spark in his eye, he flashes a cocky, confident smirk. Moments later, the monster's arm just drops to the floor, sliced completely off. But the trade-off was massive, and our prota just stands there, now missing both his arms. Panicking, Tapai rushes toward him, screaming his name. He gets close and asks if Jack is okay, but CI steps in and says she's got this. A blinding light completely takes over the screen. Cutting to an IV bag, the scene shows he's getting patched up. The sound of a dripping IV echoes while our boy rests on a medical bed. Suddenly, he wakes up startled and gasping for air, hooked up to a bunch of medical gear. Hearing a female voice ask if he's awake, our proto whips his head around in panic. Standing right there next to his bed is CI. Speechless, our boy stares in shock at his arm, which is now a full-on robotic prosthetic. Noticing his other arm is also swapped out and bandaged, he asks what she did to him. With tons of other tubes and cables, he's completely hooked up to the medical gear. CI then asks what the issue is, wondering if he happens to be dealing with memory loss. Finding the whole thing super weird, she points out his scans show 0 brain damage. So she projects a bunch of holographic screens and tells him to pick the last thing he remembers. He watches a clip of himself fighting like an absolute beast, wondering if he was always this OP or if he somehow has superpowers. Checking the data, CI reports there are no traces of special combat stims or neural implants in his system. Because of that, she figures he probably broke past the human body's limits using just pure physical strength. She adds that she's never seen anything like it in all her years as a medic, making our confused prota ask what this human limit even is. Breaking it down, CI explains that thanks to internal safety mechanisms, we normally don't use 100% of our body's capacity. She uses the example of a mom lifting a car to save her kid, saying people can cross that limit in extreme situations, but the toll is heavy. Research even shows only 1 in 10 people can actually pull that off. And this is where it gets good. Not only does our boy have that skill, but he also perfectly synced it with combat techniques while basically unconscious. Pulling up one of the recordings, she explains he was throwing down, relying almost entirely on muscle memory. Finally, CI stares right at him and asks if he ever went through some intense combat training back in the day. Continuing her breakdown, she points out his movements were insanely precise and calm. Then, Sae taps his back and wraps up by saying he fought just like a highly trained weapon. Lost in thought, our MC repeats the word trained like it doesn't make any sense. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he looks down completely lost and asks who the heck Hilda is. He wonders why yelling the name Hilda somehow lets him shatter his physical limits. Also, he questions why it hurts so much just thinking about it, while CI just shrugs and says she has no clue. At that moment, he reveals to her that he actually lost 5 whole years of his memory. Looking dead serious, our boy states he needs to find out what happened during that time and who Hilda really is. CI places a hand on his shoulder and suggests sometimes it's better not knowing, hinting the trauma might be why he chose to forget. To change the subject, she hands him a medical bill for 40 coins, making our prota snap and ask if she's really charging a teammate. Getting closer, Sai tells him to look at the state he was in, adding that the bullet I shot her with is going on his tab too. He whines about having to pay for everything, and the girl mentions cash solves anything, which our MC agrees with since tech is so cracked now. Suddenly, getting an idea, he throws on his glasses, repeating that money really can fix it all. An ad pops up in his vision asking if he wants a memory recovery surgery offered by Microcore Medical. Priced at 81.5 coins, the pop-up offers a fully automated AI surgery with guaranteed privacy. Breathing a sigh of relief, he figures it's pricey but doable, reminding himself that cash truly is king. Our proto looks right at CI and finishes the thought, saying if money didn't solve it, you just didn't pay enough. Right after that, a scan toad appears, and he clears the transaction. Stunned that he actually bought insurance and took out a loan, the medic regrets not charging him way more. A screen flashes his remaining balance, making our boy think the goal isn't completely out of reach. Ready to head out, he says his goodbyes and asks where Top Eye is hanging out. Sai then drops some free teammate advice, bluntly stating that his husband has some serious issues. Freaking out, our prota yells that she's crazy and they aren't married, telling her not to disrespect their brotherhood like that. And no one saw that coming? Playing it cool, CI replies she also had a brother once, but they grabbed drinks one night and ended up dating, leaving our boy completely floored. Still super confused, our boy asks what she's getting at and what's actually wrong with Tapaye. Sai explains his partner is way too cold and seems to be showing early signs of cyberpsychosis, especially since he's practically all prosthetics. Caught off guard, our prota questions if robots can even get mental illnesses. He quickly defends his buddy, claiming he knows his deal and that, at least for now, he definitely doesn't have that condition. The scene shifts, showing Tapai standing all alone in a neon-lit alleyway. Walking up to him, our prota asks why he's out here instead of heading inside. Annoyed, the robotic sidekick replies that the crazy lady won't let him through the door. Our boy reminds him that he shot her in the leg without a single word and asks why he even did that. Breaking it down, Tapai explains it was to cover their escape since their survival odds were terrible, adding he'd do it again next time. Quickly scolding him, our prota points out CI is still a teammate and that he seriously lacks any emotional capacity or empathy. Spinning around in anger, his buddy yells that our MC chose the Guardian mode, meaning survival is the system's absolute top priority. Our boy asks if his orders as the guy who booted him up shouldn't override the settings, to which Tapai just shrugs and says kinda. Right then he orders his partner to tweak that setting and not break a teammate's leg the next time things go south. Continuing the lecture, he argues you can't just calculate pure benefits since they aren't heartless machines. Except Tapai just cuts him off deadpan, stating, "But I am a robot." Getting heated, our prota argues that's not the point. It's that other people can't find out he's actually a bot. He just gives up on the argument and tells him to forget they even talked about it. The shot pans back to the street, showing off the glowing lights and tall buildings. Telling him to pretend he didn't say anything, our MC asks him to wait a second. Shortly after, Tapai walks into some shop and welcomes someone. Inside the store, Tapai is haggling over prices, complaining everything is a ripoff and trying to get the vendor to lower the cost. Our boy then comes back holding 2 cans of some product, ready to meet up with his partner. Staring at him, Tapai asks what he even bought that stuff for. Without saying a word, our prota just sprays the product all over his buddy, leaving him covered in foam and completely clueless. Suddenly, the chest plate on Tapai lights up, now flashing a massive yellow smiley face. The robotic sidekick just stands there rocking his fresh new glow-up, complete with the smile and neon pink details. Sighing heavily, Tapai mentions he still has a bit of memory left and will see if he can install more details. Hyped up, our prota hugs his friend and promises that once his surgery is done, he'll grind for cash to upgrade his memory and gear. Putting on a serious face, he locks in on his very next target. Our boy yells for Tapai to track down Song 6 PUS's location, saying they're gonna settle the score right now with your like on this video for part 2.